As you scan these walls, you will see several items related to Virginia and World War II. These items range from ration cards, war bonds, and even a uniform worn by Bedford boy Ray Nance as they stormed the beaches of Normandy. These items show how Virginians made sacrifices both at home and abroad for the war effort. The item that I will be discussing today tells the story of a ship's journey from Lisbon, Portugal to the shores of Virginia. The ship, the SS Quanza, ferried more than 300 refugees fleeing Nazi-occupied Europe. Shown here is a detailed model of the SS Quanza, equipped with lifeboats, anchors, and light fixtures. The actual ship weighed more than 6,000 tons and had been in service since 1929. Its main route was from Lisbon, Portugal to South Africa, but in August of 1940, it took a much different route. It would make its first transatlantic voyage. On August 8, 1940, the SS Quanza left Lisbon, Portugal, carrying 317 mostly Jewish refugees. Their destination was first New York City and then on to Veracruz, Mexico, where with appropriate documentation, they would be allowed off the ship. They arrived in New York City on August 19, 1940, where just under 200 refugees got off the ship. The remaining refugees hoped to find safety at their next stop in Veracruz, Mexico, but something went wrong. According to one passenger, "We arrived in Veracruz, Mexico on August 30th, 1940, and they began to let people debark, and everything seemed to be going well. When the number reached around 36 people, something suddenly went wrong, and they stopped permitting people to leave the ship. Thus we are among the 81 who remained, and now it turns out we have to go back to hell." But before they headed back to Portugal, they had to make one more stop to take on coal. This stop was in Norfolk, Virginia, and it would save their lives. Once the refugees found out they would be making a stop in Norfolk, many began contacting lawyers in the United States to see if they could do anything to help them out. One of these lawyers answered the call. J.L. Morowitz, an advocacy lawyer from Newport News, Virginia, had been contacted by a New York businessman to see if he could help out the Rand family aboard the Quanza. Morowitz, a graduate of Richmond College, believed the longer he kept the Quanza in Norfolk, the better chance he had of saving the refugees. On September 11, 1940, as the Quanza reached Coal Pier No. 2 in Norfolk, one of the passengers was so desperate he jumped off the ship and swam to shore. He was quickly found and taken back to the Quanza. The boat's captain kept armed guards to keep order. The refugees were not allowed to get off the boat, and no one could come on the boat. The ship's captain expected to refuel and then leave later that night. Morowitz knew he had to act quickly. He filed a $100,000 lawsuit against the ship's owner, claiming that they broke the contract, agreeing to let the Rand family off in Veracruz. The lawsuit would give Morowitz the time he needed. As the ship continued its stay at Norfolk, it gained media coverage and support from refugee advocates. One of these refugee advocates was Eleanor Roosevelt. Mrs. Roosevelt, who was also head of the U.S. Committee for the Care of European Children, was deeply concerned for the well-being of the 86 refugees still left on the boat. She was able to pressure the president enough to get him to create a task force to look into the situation of these immigrants. They sent officials to Norfolk, Virginia, and found that these refugees should be allowed to enter U.S. soil. The president then issued an executive order to let the refugees enter America. These 86 refugees eventually became naturalized citizens, and none were sent back to Nazi Germany.